Hey vinyl community, it's Robert Fithen, and I always see videos with people finding awesome things at places like flea markets and antique malls and garage sales, and they're called grails, and I finally have my own story, so I want to share that with you today. I do a lot of my record shopping over the last few decades that I've been doing this, mostly at record stores in like the bargain bin or flea markets or places like that. I usually don't pay like top dollar for records unless it's like a special thing that I absolutely really want or something like that. So that's how I've amassed this entire collection over the last, I don't know, 25 years or so, maybe longer actually. But I was recently doing a little tour of some antique malls and different little knick-knack shops in St. Charles, Missouri, which is a suburb of St. Louis. So St. Charles is basically heavily populated. It's very popular, and unfortunately, right now, it's a lot of flooding is going on in that area. So I thought I'd check out some of the antique malls and get some of those. Try to go to some of those businesses. Eat, have a nice meal there and all that at one of the restaurants, and spend some money at some of these places where they might be affected by some flooding. Anyway, it's a long strip that goes up both sides of the street. And nice cobblestone street there, and there's little antique shops. One about every 4 little shops is something like that. So it took a while to go up and down the streets, and would not you know it, last one I go to, I find a couple stacks of records over in the corner. You had to move actually a chair out of the way to see these. So I guess a lot of people may have not have known these records were there. That's the thing about some place like St. Charles or St. Louis. It's all been picked over 100 times. The chance of finding something really rare, really cool is pretty slim in somewhere like that because everybody's already been there. But these records were in the corner, like I said, a little bit obscured, and then stacked up like like this, instead of on end. So you basically had to get the records out, and go through them. Well, I just basically pulled out this little wooden chair that was hiding them, sat in the chair, and that's exactly what I did. I stacked the records up on the floor and just started going through them vertically. So basically, it was what you usually find in the antique mall or flea market or whatever. Andy Williams, Al Martino, Ray Conniff singers. They were all represented. A lot of Neil Diamond in this one, a lot of Kenny Rogers. I already have all the Neil Diamond and Kenny Rogers. But, a lot of that kind of thing. A lot of adult contemporary kind of, either from the 60s or the 70s or maybe early 80s. But that's all it was. And then, strangely enough, not even together, like scattered through this stack of records, 3 completely sealed Small Faces albums. Now, there was nothing else like that in this entire little 2 stacks of records. There was no British invasion thing. There was no rock of any kind. Not anything close to this. And these were actually sealed. So none of the other records were sealed. It was really strange. It's like I wonder how that happens. How do you have 3 sealed Small Faces albums all these years later mixed in with all of this really kind of contemporary stuff that you see everywhere? So I don't know how it happened. I'd love to know the story someday, but how St. Charles Antique Shop ended up with 3 sealed Small Faces albums, because that's the thing too, is that Small Faces isn't really that big in the U.S. It's basically Itchy Coo Park was a song that was, from what I hear from people that were around and listening to music at that time in the 60s, Itchy Coo Park was kind of like a borderline song. It wasn't a big hit. It wasn't on the radio really at all or a lot in the 60s. Now, again, I'm going from what I've heard from people who were actually around in the 60s, not the internet or whatever. And from what I've heard, they don't know the song at all, or they say, yeah, that's I don't know that well, or wasn't that big of a hit. It was basically something that was played a lot later when the 60s were flashed back to, oh, here's one of the big songs from the everybody remembers Small Faces, Itchy Coo Park. And really, I don't think a lot of people did. I think it was kind of a later on kind of retro hit, if you will. But anyway, Small Faces really aren't that popular. Of course, the guys in the group went on to form Faces and Humble Pie and all that. But the band itself never really broke through here in America. And it's really, again, strange to see 3 sealed albums, but that's what I have here. Now, I'm a complete idiot. So I get home, and the first thing I do is open this one and, get ready to play it. Because I like Small Faces. I have a couple of their CDs. I have one that's just brilliant. A 2-disc sound quality is supposed to be the best you can get for those guys on CD. I think it's just called the Ultimate Small Faces or something, but it's 2 discs, and they're completely full of music. Chronological order. If you don't hate CDs, I would recommend that if you want to hear some Small Faces. But got this home, opened it, almost ready to put it on, looked it up on Discogs. This thing's worth like $400, and that's not even really sealed. So dumb me cracked the seal on this damn thing, thinking that I don't know that much about releases from the UK, so it's hard for me to tell like an original. I thought this was just a repress or something. So I had no idea. No, I checked the label. It's literally was a completely sealed original pressing. Look at that. It doesn't even want to come out. It's so new. Look. Oh, man. That's incredible. Previously sealed. Small Faces debut on the Decca label there from the UK. I could cry. But then again, I would not be able to see this if I hadn't opened it, so I don't know if it's worth $400 opening, but, it was a nice experience opening that and seeing some brand new vinyl from the UK from the 60s. Just incredible that I would find it. Oh, by the way, paid $1. $1 a piece. $1 a piece for these. I hear stories like that all the time. I've seen the videos, and, man, when it happens to you, it's a really nice feeling. I've seen some nice things in flea markets and whatever, but nothing as nice as sealed $400 Small Faces where the thing won't go back in. The record won't go back in. It doesn't want to go back in. It longs to be played. But yeah, that's not the only one. This is their debut, just called Small Faces. I also got the Ogden's Nut Gone Flake album, which is on the Rolling Stones top albums of all time. I actually already have this, but it doesn't look like this. Mine is a much later pressing. It's some weak US label. This is white here, or beige. This I can tell is like a cutout, and the actual inside is what you're seeing here, showing through this. And that's the way it's supposed to be on the original issue. So I would assume this is an original, just like this is. I can't really tell, obviously, by the label because it's sealed. But Abco down here, and like I said, this is actually cut here, and this is actually the inner sleeve that you're seeing. I do know that. These are actually just part of the sleeve, it looks like. Yeah, so again, not sure about this one, but still sealed Ogden's Nut Gun Flake from Small Faces. And then this third one is basically, it's sealed as well. Again, $1. Looks like just a compilation, I think, from the early 70s. This probably isn't worth too much. I think I saw people selling this on Discogs for like $6 or something like that. But this one's sealed. But this looks like just kind of a real thrown together, like just compilation just called Small Faces, like I said, from the early 70s. But again, when you get all three of these together at an antique mall in the stack full of Andy Williams, Al Martino, and Ray Conniff singers, it's, why am I putting that one out front? It is really quite special. I could definitely see why people, when they have those grails and they find those things at flea markets, again, for $1 a piece, I can definitely see why people want to share the news and make videos. Hopefully, those people weren't dumb enough to go ahead and open it right up, though. That's not my proudest moment. Always check Discogs first. Okay, some lessons. Well, there's some lessons to go with this. Always check out Discogs first before you slice a album shrink right open. And also, never give up when you're going to, don't ever think that they're not out there. They're still out there. Those albums that, maybe I wasn't looking for this necessarily. Like I said, I already have a copy of this that's from much later, but just those things where, didn't see that coming. Would not have expected that. 3 sealed Small Faces albums from the UK One of them definitely an original pressing. This one probably, maybe, or second or third pressing, but sealed dollar piece. Never give up. So once again, it's Robert Fithin. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not done that already, and I will continue to make videos that hopefully are interesting about all kinds of different vinyl records that I've been collecting over, like I said, the last 25 or 30 years. Thanks again for watching.